Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Arsenal huge favourites as Arsenal take on Manchester United, or should I say Manchester United take on Arsenal. We are the United Stand and we're going to need to stand United on Sunday to get a result as Erik ten Hag faces a midfield dilemma. We'll look at the game, we'll break it down, we'll predict how we're going to line up, we'll look at the strengths of Arsenal, we'll look at why they are firm favourites for this game, and we'll look at what the ramifications are for United and their season dependent on each of the three possible results in this game. It feels a little bit weird because we did play last night, so you're sort of thinking, why are we previewing Arsenal? But then when you think about it, the weekend is coming, it's a big game, we know Casemiro's out. Why wait? Why wait? Let's get into the preview, because ultimately I think we're not going to know a lot more tomorrow or Saturday than we know now about this game. It's going to happen on Sunday at 4:30. Arsenal against Manchester United. First against joint second. 8-point gap, is it, between the two of us? They've got a game in hand on us. It's at the Emirates, and we go with what we've got. And I think the first thing I'm going to hit straight away is I like that lineup, says Malps. I don't normally start with the lineup, but I am going to start up for the lineup because midfield dilemma is what Erik ten Hag faces. He faces a midfield dilemma even if Casemiro is fit. Let's call a spade a spade. I was listening to Jesse Lingard having a bit of a pop at Murta and I thought, Slow Sports News, Jesse, get my yellow tie and my crunchy nut cornflakes. Jesse Lingard there, ex-Manchester United player, saying that John Murta's not very good at his job. Oh my God, hold the back page. It's Slow Sports News. We know that. Do these players ever say anything when they're at the club? No. When they leave the club, blah, 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 blah. It's the fans who say this all the time. But look, we are in a dilemma. I think even if Casemiro's fit, we're in a dilemma, because if Casemiro gets sent off or injured, then you still face the same dilemma. You cannot be a professional football club totally reliant on a holding midfielder. You've got to have depth, and we haven't got it. So I think logically a lot of fans would agree with what I've done with this team, and I think I don't know whether he would do it. We will have our revenge, says Zane, Arsenal fan. Of course, we are the only team to beat Arsenal in the league this season, I think. Arsenal unbeaten at home as well, unbeaten home record. We'll talk about Arsenal and their strengths in a minute. But look, let me talk about the midfield. This is where Man United have been weakened massively. Casemiro can't play. I mean, it's disappointing, but as I say, Man United, traditionally, the way we play, and this is very relevant for the Arsenal game, traditionally we play a midfield three with a holding combative midfielder in Casemiro, Eriksen, who basically takes the ball and feeds the attack, and Bruno, who's the creator. There's one player in those three who's there to tackle, and his name's Casemiro. Oh, what a surprise. He's had 4 yellow cards in 18 games. I'm surprised he's not had more. We are totally reliant on Casemiro. There is no alternative, there is no sub, there is no young player, there is nothing to do that role at Manchester United. And that's pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. What makes me laugh is, has anyone ever thought about this? We didn't buy Casemiro till 2 weeks before the end of the transfer window. What was the bloody plan? You know, who was the alternative to Casemiro if we didn't get him? So, massively important player, really going to be missed, but it shows up the inadequacy of that squad, that when Casemiro's injured or suspended or tired, we're sat in a situation where we're going, what the bloody hell's going on? I think McTominay or Weghorst will play. Well, I want to talk about that in a minute, CenturyLink. We will have our revenge, says Zane. Mark, why no Anthony, says Mikael Rach. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that's what I think Ten Hag will go with. There's a couple of things I need to talk about around fitness, but let's talk about the midfield. Martinez has never played at CDM for Manchester United. We are basically putting in a player at CDM who's never played there before. However, I think this is a bit different to saying, let's play Wan-Bissaka at centre-back or let's play Victor Lindelof at CDM, which is what many of you have said to me over the years. That is a fan theory. I don't think Martinez, as at CDM, is fan theory. He has played there before at Ajax, and logically, when you think about the team, it's the most logical thing to do. We don't have. It's like what he's doing. It's like what he's done at centre back when Martinez wasn't available. He wants something as close, and this is the theory I think we're all working off. He wants something as close to Martinez as he can get at left centre back, because he knows Maguire and Lindelof are slow, right-footed. They don't suit it. So he moves Luke Shaw to left centre back because that's the closest thing he's got to Martinez, which allows him to play in the same way. If we take that theory to the Arsenal game with no Casemiro, what's the closest to Casemiro we've got? Somebody who's comfortable dropping into the back centre-backs, taking the ball off the centre-backs, combative, reads the game really well. Well, it ain't Fred, it ain't McTominay, it ain't Eriksen, and we haven't got a youth player to do it. So I'm looking around my team now, and I'm going, right, Luke Shaw could probably do this job, but that would be ridiculous. You can't be a world-class centre-back, left-back and centre-defensive midfielder. So it can't be Luke Shaw. It can't be Varane. He couldn't. He's a centre-back. It can't be Wan-Bissaka. He's a right-back. It can't be Malacia. It certainly can't be Harry Maguire. And I don't... Victor Lindelof at a push, I think, could do it. It's got to be Martinez. Martinez is like a CDM at centre-back anyway. Every time I look at him, he reminds me of a CDM. It's got to be Martinez. But I've got to say, let's do a poll on this, because I actually don't think he'll do it. Will Martinez start at CDM? Let's just have a quick poll on this, because I know many of us are saying let's do it, but he's never done it for Man United. So yes or no, do you think he'll do it? I think it's the right thing to do, but I don't know whether he'll do it. And the reason I think it's the right thing to do is because Martinez is so good on the ball. He's also very combative. He also reads the game really well, and also he's pretty mobile. You don't need to be super mobile to be a CDM. I think he fits the position better than anybody. The question is, can he do it? Will he do it? And will Ten Hag do it? He is infinitely better than Fred or McTominay in that role, but I get the feeling he might go back and use McFred. Yeah, because I think Fred's got to play, by the way. That's what I'm going to move to next. Fred's got to play. 100%. I would have played him because of how he played against City, but he's forget about it. He's got to play in this game now. You absolutely cannot lose Casemiro and then play Eriksen and Bruno. They don't tackle. We're away from home against Arsenal. They've got Xhaka and Partey. You cannot play Eriksen, Bruno and McTominay, or Eriksen, Bruno and Fred. You've got to play Fred with somebody. And I think he will go with McTominay. I do think he'll play McTominay. It might work, but for me, I can't see it working. I hope it would work, but I can't. But 100% I agree with Triggered Salt. I would play Martinez in that CDM role, which means you go back to what you had before. Basically, the back five that we played against Man City that only conceded one goal. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Shaw and Malacia. You put Martinez into CDM. You play Fred next to him to give him that support like you did Casemiro against City. And I think you've got a chance. I think you've got a chance then. That back five can work. Fred and Martinez can work. You've got Eriksen and Bruno to give it a bit more support. Remember, Bruno tucked in against Man City. That's why I'm not playing Anthony. We are away from home. You've got to respect Arsenal. They're a good side. We need bodies in the midfield. And then hopefully Martial's fit and you play him and Rashford, because I think you've got to do that. If Martial's not fit and we don't know whether he is, and I'm assuming he was rested midweek to be ready for the weekend, but look, let's be honest with Martial. Ten Hag doesn't give updates. He might be out for a month. I'm hoping it's not too bad and he's back for the Arsenal game. Give him a week off, week recovery. But we need Martial. I'd be devastated if Martial's not available against Arsenal. It's not as big as Casemiro, but it's big. Look at the way we played yesterday against Palace. We missed that mobility and ability to play with your back to goal. Rashford's got the mobility, but he can't play with his back to goal. Weghorst can play back to goal, but he ain't got the mobility. We need Martial for this game. We need to... I'm telling you now, if we play Weghorst against Saliba and Gabriel, they're going to press the life out of us. They're going to play right on the halfway line. They will not give a shit about Weghorst at all. They will not. They won't. They will push right up. I've seen teams do this when we had Zlatan. I remember Bournemouth coming to Old Trafford when we had Zlatan up front and their defensive line was on the halfway line. They will press us high. They'll pin us into our own half. Weghorst has not got the mobility away from home to cause any issues for Arsenal. So we need to, if Martial's not fit, you've almost got to go Rashford through the middle, Garnacho on the left. I think Weghorst has to be a bench option in this game. I don't think he suits it, in my opinion. Nothing against him, I just don't think it works. So that's how I hope we're going to line up. But there's two big question marks in that team. Is Martial fit? And will he play Martinez at CDM? The alternative is, and just imagine it for the moment, the alternative is McTominay plays at CDM and Weghorst plays up front. And that, to me, from that, and even that team is going to have to play bloody well to get something out of a very good Arsenal side. But if you take Martinez out for McTominay and you take Martial out for Weghorst, I think it becomes ridiculously difficult to get a result. Sangari from PSV in the summer. He'd be decent cover, Hunter. He would be. He would be decent cover. But look, it's interesting. Where will this game be won and lost? That is why I don't want to see Weghorst starting. Arsenal are very good at home. They start very fast at home. I watched them against Newcastle. I know it was 0-0. If you watch that game, Arsenal could have been 2 or 3-0 up in the first 10 minutes. And Newcastle rode the storm and then built their way back into the game. They will start fast. They will pressure us. They will get us at us. And we're going to have to defend really well. And obviously one of the biggest factors in our defence has been Casemiro. So we're going to have to do really, really well. We're also going to have to scare Arsenal. They're a good defensive side. We're going to have to be in a position where if they do pressure us high up the pitch, there is a ball out that scares them. And that's why Martial's important, and obviously Rashford as well. I think they're going to have a lot of possession, Arsenal. I think David De Gea is going to be very busy, and I think our defence is going to be very busy. And I think if we are to get a result out of this game, we're not going to do it in a way where we have 60% possession and create lots of chances. It's going to be a rearguard action that's going to need efficiency and that killer instinct on the attack when we have it. I think Weghorst doesn't suit this game, as I said. Have you seen that Lingard was on Diary of a CEO? Says Sam. It's a bit like the prank on the BBC. I'm not really that bothered about it. Would you take a draw? Says Millie. Well, look, Arsenal. Let me just talk to you about Arsenal. Let's have a look at the league table, actually. Let's have a look at the league table. So, looking at the league table as things stand, there's an enormous factor to this game. If we lose it, Arsenal would go 11 points clear with a game in hand. Forget about it. As far as United and finishing above Arsenal this season, and I'm not going to use the T word, it would be over. If they go 11 points ahead of us with a win, which they would, and a game in hand, it's gone. It's over. Forget finishing above Arsenal. So if we've got any aspirations of finishing above Arsenal, I'm not saying winning the league, but finishing above Arsenal, and why wouldn't we want to do that? Then we're going to have to get a draw at least. I personally do not think it's impossible to beat anybody in the Premier League this season, but as a percentage, I think Arsenal have got a 75% chance of getting a win against us on Sunday. That might be a little bit high, but they've not lost at home this season. Sorry, not get a win, get a positive result. A positive result would be a draw as well. No, I've got that completely wrong. What am I talking about? I'd say United have probably got a 60% chance. Nah, it's higher than that. I'm probably right. I think we've got a 70% chance of losing this game. I think we have. 30% chance of a draw or a win. I do. I think I was right in the first place. I think it's a really difficult place to go. I still think that there are people out there that think Arsenal are Arsenal of 2 or 3 years ago, or even last year. They're a fantastic side. They've not lost at home. They score a lot of goals. They're defensively very strong, and they're attacking very strong. They've got a very good team. For the first time in years, I can name you the best Arsenal 11. It's Ramsdale, it's White, Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko, Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and obviously it would be Nketiah, but normally be Jesus. Like, you can name an Arsenal 11 for the first, and that's always a big sign of a good side. When they're picking a consistent 11 that's doing well. I've not been able to do that for Arsenal for years. I know players, but I wouldn't be able to name their best 11. They're ridiculously consistent. That's what they're going to come at us with on Sunday. They've not been beaten at home. They're defensively strong. They attack really well. They can game manage. First half against Spurs last week, they do all the attacking and they win the game. Second half, they do the defensive work. It's exactly what United should have done against Palace last night. Get the second goal and then do the defensive work, but we never did. The improvement under Arteta over the years has been fantastic, but where they are at the moment is remarkable. They are huge favourites for this game. I'm not listening to Arsenal fans who... I know what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. There are Arsenal fans out there going, oh, it's going to be a fantastic game on Sunday. Can't wait for it. Isn't it nice that Manchester United and Arsenal are back playing games at the top of the table? Oh, long may it continue. Shut up. Not in a bad way, shut up, but I know what you're doing. You're trying to make it. Ooh, which way is it going to go? Oh, Super Sunday, fascinating. Oh, I'm so excited. Nonsense. You're covering up for what we know. You're huge favourites in this game. You were favourites when we didn't have Casemiro. You are huge favourites now. You've had a week off as well. You're the best team in the league. You're at home. We're missing Casemiro. You are huge favourites in this game. Huge favourite. And the Emirates is always a difficult game to go to. Can you remember that game when we played them and De Gea was magnificent and the Arsenal fans, they were I think it was December. It must have been December about 5 years ago. Because I don't think I did the watch along. I think I was at Centre Parks. De Gea was amazing. And yeah, it's always a difficult place to go, and it's going to be rocking this Sunday. Why not play Malacia as DM? He's good on the ball and can tackle and play a pass. I don't think he'd be a good CDM. We are absolutely not any result if we play McFred in midfield. Play Martinez as DM with Shaw, Varane, Malacia and Wan-Bissaka, says Abhishek. And I know it's a different kettle of fish at the Emirates, but we have beaten them without Casemiro before. Arsenal think they've already won it, says Mac Elvis. I don't think that. I think you've got Prats like Piers Morgan, who has got, who is a complete and utter contradiction. I mean, literally last May, he was trying to get Arteta out, and now, he won't shut about how good he is. Those sort of football fans shouldn't be let in. They're just, it's all about them. I've said this before. I think you've seen the journey of the United stand over the years. There are still people out there who make content to wind people up, who say things to get a reaction. The Gabby Bonglahors, people like that. Oh, Haaland's going to flop. You know who these people are. They don't wake up in the morning and believe that. They wake up in the morning and think, what can I say that's going to be outrageous? But the great thing is, I think 4 or 5 years ago, that was what content was like. But I think what content is like now is that football fans have become more educated and more diverse in the fact that, you can sit here on a Man United show excited about a game on Sunday, trying to construct a team to beat a very good Arsenal side who are favourites and are doing fantastic. I don't need to sit here and say, oh, we're going to beat Arsenal, we're going to be Millie rocking in the corner, hold that L. Football's moved on from that. And I don't think Arsenal fans are doing that anyway. I don't think real Arsenal fans, want to talk about the title. I don't think they're talking about beating us at the weekend. I think they feel it's a difficult game, and if they win it, it's another step to this big season they're having. But they are huge favourites, and I'm not doing that for reverse psychology. You're at home. And I keep seeing people say, oh, we beat Arsenal without Casemiro already. Can I tell you a story? You might not like it. It's a realist story, right? Santa doesn't exist. It's that sort of story. That's not the story. I'm not confirming or denying that. No comment about Santa. But at the end of the day, we did beat Arsenal at Old Trafford without Casemiro. For most of that game, Arsenal were better than us. Possession-wise, they were better than us. That game was a smash and grab. They're probably the best team we've played against this season, Arsenal, at Old Trafford. They were fantastic. And I think they are the best team we've played at Old Trafford. And we were 1-0 up at half-time. We'd worked hard in the second half, and this happens a lot with United, even under Ten Hag. Second half, for about 15-20 minutes, they dominated. They got the equaliser, and Arteta smelt blood and went for the win and kept his line high. Ten Hag brought Ronaldo on. Ronaldo occupied the centre-backs, and then Rashford made a couple of diagonals, and we won the game. It was naive from Arteta, and it was very astute by Ten Hag. And it sort of happened against Man City at the weekend. But we sort of did do a bit of a counter job on Arsenal at home. So you could say, well, if we do that away from home, it could work. The difference is we haven't got 75,000 fans behind us creating an atmosphere. We're going into their backyard. I also think, I think there's many reasons why you can't just go, well, we beat Arsenal back into the autumn without Casemiro. Arsenal are a better team, and we're a much better team when we've got Casemiro. So I'm putting Arsenal as huge favourites. We should put Maguire at right back and Bissaka at CDM, says Babs. 55% of you think he will play Martinez at CDM on Sunday. I hope you're right. I'd love to see it. I love these sort of comments. John Stewart, who's one of our members, 5 at the back. That's not happening. We're not managed by Solskjaer or Jose anymore. People need to get on the page. What was the game? What was the game the other day where people were on about we're playing a diamond? I said we won't be playing a diamond. We'll be playing exactly the same formation that he's always played. We're not going to go to a back five. We're not going to go to a diamond. He's going to play the system that the players know. That's Ten Hag. He's not going to come out like Solskjaer or Mourinho did with some we've been working on all week. And we can't work on that. We played last night. It's a day off today. And we're playing again on Sunday. You can't work on a back five. It will be a back four. It'll be a back four. Arsenal are firm favourites. Score prediction. I tell you what, it's going to be a hard night. Hard afternoon, that is. It's going to be hard. They're going to have a lot of the ball. It's going to be a lot of pressure. We're going to need to defend fantastically well. Jamie says we beat them without Casemiro. Jamie, I've just spoken about that. I'm not predicting a loss. I think you're a fool if you predict a loss. I mean, well, Drip Football's just predicted a win for Arsenal. Respect Arsenal, fantastic side, huge favourites. Win this, probably very firm favourites to win the league. I want to talk about that by Stephen Rossi as well. But I'm going to predict a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. And I think that would be a decent result for United. I don't think we're in a title race. I think we're in a top four race. And I think, as Stephen says there, what do you think the psychological impact of the rest of the team might be if McTominay does play as CDM? Well, I'm not interested in that so much. I'm interested in the psychological impact of drawing to Palace and then losing to Arsenal. And then we don't play a Premier League game for a couple of weeks because we've got all the cup games. I think this Arsenal game, it's really important that we don't lose. We haven't lost in a long time. That Crystal Palace draw felt like a loss. You know, some of the players, you know, you could see from their reaction, it bothered them that they didn't win. You can see that Ten Hag was frustrated that we didn't win. The fan base is frustrated we didn't win. But at the end of the day, a draw away from home against Crystal Palace is not the end of the world. But if you follow that up with a comprehensive loss to Arsenal, we will be sat there on Sunday night going, okay, this is a top four race, isn't it? And if other results don't go our way, that top four race might be a little bit narrower than it is now. Reminds me of the playground logic when people said, oh, we beat that team and you lost to them, so that makes us better than you, says Glenny Boy. I don't put any weight on the fact that we beat them. I don't think Arsenal will go into this game in any way intimidated by the fact that we beat them. That's not why they're top of the league. And I don't think you can read into a game that was months ago. I think this is a different game. And if you watched that game, like I said, I think Arsenal are the best team we've seen at Old Trafford this season. And there was about 10 minutes in the second half where I thought they were going to beat us. And I think Arteta definitely did. And Ten Hag did really, really well. And that's what we're going to be reliant on here. I mean, Ten Hag has beaten Liverpool at home, Arsenal at home, Spurs at home, Man City at home. He is very good. He's a very good coach. We're not going there with Solskjaer. We're going there with Ten Hag. So there is a chance. Arsenal fans are right. There is a chance that United can get something. But you can't go into this game without Casemiro, Dalot, Martial. He needs Martial back. Big up, Mark. Admire your patience and professionalism. Watched the morning video earlier and you dealt with weird comments perfectly. Have a good one, says Neil. Thank you very much, Neil. Thanks for the super chat. So yeah, I'm going to go with the United draw, 1-1. Where do I think the game will be won and lost? Well, it won't be a surprise to you if I said the midfield. Odegaard for me, if I wasn't picking Casemiro or Luke Shaw for Player of the Year, Odegaard would be certainly one of my contenders. I think he's been fantastic. He is the best number 10 in the Premier League, I think, at the moment. Some people would say De Bruyne, but I think consistently wise, I mean, De Bruyne is better than Odegaard, but consistently wise, I think Odegaard has had a better season. He's immaculate with the ball. He's probably the number 10 that Ten Hag would like. Bruno is a risk taker. Odegaard takes care of the ball better and plays, the more measured pass. They've got Xhaka and Partey, who, whatever you think about them, have been unbelievable this year. Brilliant. So that midfield three is very, very good, and it consistently plays together. So I think that's where the game gets won and lost, because we don't know how we're going to construct our midfield. But Arsenal's weakest area at the moment is probably down the middle, attack. And Nketiah is not Jesus. That is probably their weakest area. Their wide play is good, although Martinelli recently has been a bit off. Saka's fantastic. And defensively, they're very good as well. So Arsenal, the game will be won and lost in the midfield. Saka's very dangerous, but their back four and keeper are very good as well. So I don't see lots of goals in this game unless, God forbid, it's us on the end of a lot of goals. That's why I'm going to go 1-1. I think it will be quite a tight game, and I would like to see United just in the first 20 minutes maintain the shape, but maybe throw a couple of punches ourselves just to make them think. We've got to make that defence think. If there's a way we can utilise Rashford's pace up against Saliba and Gabriel, I'd like to see it. But that's why we need to see Martial playing. And I think ultimately we will know on Sunday afternoon what sort of afternoon we're going to have by the lineup and who's available. Because if we're starting with Weghorst and Martial's not even on the bench, I don't see how we're going to lay a glove on Arsenal. And if we start with McTominay at CDM and not Martinez, I don't see how we win that midfield battle. So it will be very dependent on a few things. But you know Ten Hag will have a plan. You do. Rochelle, thank you very much for joining the members club. Thank you very much for that. Are you doing Spurs Man City tonight? I am, yes. Martinelli won't win a lot against Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Saka is a threat, though, says Sean. Oh, there's some I want to talk about that. Some fascinating matchups as well. I mean, I think both goalkeepers are going to be very important, and both goalkeepers are playing really well at the moment. I think centre-backs, Varane and potentially Shaw will be fine against Nketiah. Doesn't mean he won't score, but I don't think he's a player, it's not the same as Haaland. Saliba and Gabriel against Weghorst, I think they'll have an easy afternoon. If Martial can be fit, it helps. It'll still be a difficult game for Martial. Wan-Bissaka against Martinelli. Wan-Bissaka's playing really well at the moment, so we shouldn't have any problems there. Saka against Malacia is a big test for Malacia if that's who's at left back, but he did well last week against Mahrez, and I think we all thought that would be a problem. So midfield, as we know, what midfield can we construct to combat Arsenal's very good midfield three? And then Ben White against Rashford if he is on the left, which is what we want. We want Ben White against Rashford because Ben White's played really well at right back, but he ain't as quick as Rashford. So I'd like to see that. And then off the right, I mean, Zinchenko, Bruno, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I don't think we need two wide players who are going to try and run at the fullbacks. I think putting Bruno off the right is intelligent in a game like this as it was against City. Calvin says Wan-Bissaka's undroppable at the moment. Well, it's irrelevant, mate. He won't be dropped anyway because Delo won't be fit. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but he won't be fit for the game. He definitely won't be fit for the game. Martial, hopefully, but certainly not Ben White. Certainly not Delo. If City loses and we beat Arsenal, it might still be a great run to the finish. However, we lack depth, says Glenn. I don't want us to lose to Arsenal, but if we did lose, it would be massively disappointing for City, wouldn't it? I suppose there's one positive there. I wanted to mention Sancho. Hakeem's mentioned him. Of course, it would be absolutely fantastic to have Jadon Sancho available for this game. It's also... God, get rid of that for FIFA. It's also absolutely essential that we are patient. The guy hasn't trained with the first team for 2.5 months. He's only started training with the first team the last couple of days. He's not played a competitive game for 2.5 months. He's not starting against Arsenal. I very much doubt he'll be on the bench. Maybe. But realistically, we can't have that mindset. I don't think it helps Jadon, and I don't think it helps us. If he's on the bench on Sunday, people will be like, when's he coming on? And then if he comes on and he's not sharp, people will be like, oh, he's rubbish, or, the usual stuff. Is that not part of the reason he's had the problems he's had? Dealing with the pressure, apparently, and things like that. So that's just a little bit of an insight into why, with Sancho, we've got to be careful, because we don't want to be in a position where we are, over-expecting. And I think in an Arsenal game, if he's on the bench and we're not doing well, there will be expectations. Oh, come on, Jadon, come on. And if he comes on and does well, great, but you're asking a lot. Personally, I'd be getting him back involved in the Reading game or the Nottingham Forest game and building that, familiarity and confidence and chemistry back up. A certain someone said De Gea could save the Titanic, says Arthur Rowe. I did say it about 3 or 4 years ago. There'll be a clip of me saying it 3 or 4 years ago. So it's nice to see that my content is being regurgitated and reused. Guarantee I know who it is as well. Thoughts on Lingard podcast, says Jeremy. I've got no interest, really. I think, really, the interesting bits are the personal stuff about the depression and stuff, which you're always going to find, relate to. And, you know, he's a human being at the end of the day. But he said, I mean, one of the things he said is that I spoke to United in 2017 about doing YouTube and being more popular, more with it. And I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong, United have been shit for the last 6 years. We don't need to be good on YouTube, Jesse. We don't need to be big on TikTok. You know, we're Manchester United and Arsenal are Arsenal. I don't see Arteta and Ten Hag going on about let's do some YouTube content, let's do some TikTok content. I don't think that's United's problem. I think there are problems at United, but I don't think more social media work is the problem, in my opinion. So when he comes out and says, "Oh, United need to get with it," I spoke to them about YouTube. Well, we've been shit, mate, and you weren't that good either. Did we really need Jesse on YouTube with Marcus and Bruno for the last 3 years? I don't think that would have gone down particularly well when we had dressing room leaks and we weren't winning games. So, look, I think the problems at United about facilities, recruitment, the way players are treated, yes, all needs to improve. But we don't need to be more on social media. I actually quite like the under Ten Hag. I don't notice the winning team photos anymore. They probably still happen, but I don't notice them because when they were happening was when we were crap and it used to wind you up the other way. I think Ten Hag, and maybe Arteta as well, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I certainly think Ten Hag has reduced that from even last year. I don't notice a lot of the players on social media anymore. There's more discipline, and that ultimately is more important than, you know, short vertical content or whatever it is people watch on TikTok. We just got to be good on the pitch. So, you know, and that's what I want to see. Is there any CDM we could sign on loan, says Ramo? There's always a CDM on loan. I don't know who. It's not our job to find that, is it? Anyway, I've got some big news for you. I've pinned it in the live chat. United FIFA Career Mode. Goldbridge takes the reign of Manchester United on FIFA Career Mode 23. It's my first Manchester United Career Mode of FIFA 23. It's going to be bloody hard, actually. It's going to be really hard. First game's Brighton, then Brentford, isn't it? If I can get some points out of those, at least I'll be ahead of Ten Hag, because I tell you what, he hasn't dropped that many points. So it's going to be very hard for me to try and replicate it. Not allowed any transfers in the summer. Got to wait till January. Got no Ronaldo. He's not in the squad. So it starts on 3 o'clock on Twitch. So if you want to get involved, you can. Jay says he's going to lose the first one. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Tune in on Twitch at 3 o'clock. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Make sure you smash a like. I'm back at 7 o'clock tonight.